friends to the show that never ends. This is Red All Over's Away End show, where we look at the opposition that we'll be facing shortly. To achieve this, we'll be talking to fans of the opposition, so I hope you enjoy the show. Finally, cast your mind back. I remember a 4-year-old boy being lifted over the turnstiles to his first match at Oakwell, standing on the Kop watching his heroes such as Barry Murphy. Now fast forward 60 odd years, the Kop is now an all-seater stand, and it's named the Barry Murphy stand after the legend. That 4-year-old boy is now finally, after all these years, back on the away end. Enjoy the show. Roll the titles. This is the first away end of the season, and we're away to Lincoln. Now, I'd hoped that we'd be away to Stevenage so I could get the wonderful Matt Farley on, or away to Birmingham so I could get the absolutely superb Gabriel Sutton, who is a wrong un. But the gods did not favour me. I can only go with what I've got. I can only work with what I've got. So it's Lincoln away, and I've got the redoubtable Jake Tonge on yet again. So tell us about yourself again and what you're doing this season, Jake, because you're all over the place. You've gone national, Jake. You're not just Lincoln. You're national.
Yeah. So hello everybody. Nice to be back on Red All Over. I enjoyed my my visits to Oakwell recently, especially the last one. I can't think why, Andy, but yeah. So we went from that Football League podcast with me, a Lincoln fan, Wardy, an Oxford fan, Tom, a Pompey fan, and Nappers, a Fleetwood fan. And all three of them cleared out of League One. So we've now become that Football League podcast, which we cover all three leagues. Sorry, and I've got a bit of a... there we go. Yeah, so we cover all three leagues at the moment. I also do the Sunday night League One live with Nappers, you might know. So yeah, we've got loads going on, mate. We're literally doing everything. But glad to be talking Lincoln Barnsley with yourselves. I feared when you got in the playoffs that I might not have the chance to do it again, but luckily enough, Barnsley kicked in and became themselves, so we're all right.
Well, for those that want to look right towards the end of the last season, when you were last on the show, Jake, when Barnsley were at home against Lincoln, I know he hammered us 5-1, but I don't normally do away ends when we're at home, truthfully, but if I remember rightly, you begged to come on, you begged me. I want to do the show, please. So I agreed to do it because on one basis only, you're incredibly needy. So, yeah. And people watch that show will know how needy you actually were. So before we start, I want to ask you all about Lincoln, about the players that have left, the players that have come in, how you see it to unfold in the first game of the season. You can talk a bit about last night if you want, although I bet you want to ignore it. But before that, I'm glad to see that you're still supporting Lincoln. And just a little shout out for your dad. Paul, this is in your honour. Manchester United fan, he tried to talk my friend Jake, his own son, into supporting Manchester United. So I told him last time, and I'll just repeat it. That's for you, Paul. Right. That'll get one view anyway.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, Jake, this summer, from last season, I'm assuming, I know you've lost some players have left, some players have developed, some new players have come. Hopefully there's some more in the pipeline for you. Tell us about the ones that have gone and the ones that have come and how it's changed things.
We've lost quite a few key players, Andy, to be honest.
Good.
So, bless you. So the first one that I'll talk about, Lucas Jensen was the goalkeeper that played in goal the last time you'd have seen us. He's left and gone to Millwall. So we signed him on a 2-year deal. He wasn't going to sign an extension. He had 1 year left on his deal, and the club got an offer that they felt they couldn't refuse. So Lucas was gone actually when we were flying to Spain for pre-season. As we arrived in the hotel, Lucas was sat in reception with a suitcase, waiting to fly back to the UK to do a medical at Millwall. So we sort of could figure out that was going to happen. So that was a big loss. And then the other really big permanent loss was Lasse Sorensen, who played right wing back, had a great game at Oakwell. Set the first goal up. He has gone to Huddersfield. It's disappointing. He again was in the last year of his contract, but Huddersfield offered us a fee in upwards of £500,000, and for what I thought was the best right wing back in the league last year, we'd be stupid to turn that sort of fee down, given the amount of money, length he had left on his contract. We've had a couple of players leave. Danny Mandroyu, who scored the winner at Oakwell a couple of years ago, he's
good
left.
Player, really good player.
Decent player, but he had a bit of an attitude problem. We offered him a contract. He's not come back. TJ Ayoma, who scored the equaliser in the home game last season, we released him. Teddy Bishop, who you might know as another central midfielder, he was released also. And the one that we've not replaced at the moment, although there's big rumours that he might be coming back, probably is going to come back, is Joe Taylor, the centre forward that came in from Luton that scored 10 in 19 towards the back end of the last year. I mean, if you didn't realise what Joe Taylor was doing at the back end of last year, you weren't paying any attention, or you must have been living under a rock. So those are the main departures that we've had. And some will say they're quite significant because they are. A lot of them are big players. But in my opinion, we've kept the big one. We've kept Ethan Arahan, the lad who was actually on loan at Barnsley previously. We've had lots of interest in him over the summer from abroad, from the Championship, from the Premier League. And so far, we've turned down all the bids for him. So that's good. We've kept him. And then we've signed 10 new players, 3 goalkeepers.
Right, 10.
10. Well, we had a lot of outgo. I think we had 10 go out, or we had just less than 10 go out, 8 or 9. So yeah, we brought in 3 goalkeepers, one that was released by Cheltenham, one that's come from Gab's team, Birmingham City, and then the big one, who you'll you'll look at him on Saturday and go, "Are you sure that's not Lucas Jensen?" Because he's also a big, tall fella. His name's George Wickens. He's come from Fulham. Paid 150 grand for him. He looks a really good keeper. Made some big saves on Saturday last week. Who else have we brought in? Goodness me, there's so many to mention. We've brought in literally every single midfielder in the world. Tom Bayliss from Shrewsbury. We've signed Conor McGrandles back, who I don't think he played when we played you last time. He was injured. JJ McKinnon's come in from Morecambe. Dom Jeffries from Gillingham. So we're paying fees. Tom Hamer has also come in. I don't know if you played Burton Albion last year and you realised that the fellow with the long throw. Yeah. He's signed for us. So who else have we signed? Rob Street from Cheltenham as well. So we've brought in a fair amount. We've also got our model centre back. He did back-to-back ACLs. Lewis Monsner, his name is. He's a Dutch fella. He's just come back from 2 ACLs, so we've got him back. So lots going on at Lincoln at the moment. We're due to sign a winger from AIK in Sweden this week as well. His name's Eric Ring, Sweden under 21 international, so he must be a fair player. So lots going on, Andy. It's a revolving door down here in Lincoln, and hopefully, like I say, 1 or 2 more to add, and hopefully we can keep Arahan around because he's just so pivotal to how we want to play.
So it could be an entirely, or not quite an entirely different team to the one that played at Oakwell last, but a good one. Do you think they'll gel? So that's one of the problems, isn't it? When a load go and then a load come.
Well, yeah, we saw that with Burton last because we played Burton on Saturday, and they've obviously brought in 20 new players, new ownership, new manager, new everything, new stadium, new fans. By the looks of it, because they are nearly a sellout crowd. I'm sure if you've been to the Pirelli, they have about 12 people go down normally. They struggle to gel. However, we have kept I'd say a core. So we've kept the likes of Porty O'Connor. He's still in the team. Adam Jackson, who you'll know really well. He's still in the
Connor
team.
plays in the centre of the defence, doesn't he?
Yeah. So them 2 will line up at the back, I'd imagine, on Saturday. We've kept Arahan, who's the midfielder. Yeah. Jack Moylan is one that you'll know scored twice at Oakwell. 2 great goals, by the way. And then Ben House, the striker, who's a big presser. He started that day at Oakwell. So we've kept the spine. We have got a lot of good, decent players, but we've added depth. Last year we had 3 months without a centre forward. And then when we came to you, we played Arahan, and then we had Mandroyu and Moylan in the 8s, and they're both number 10s really. So we were really short in midfield then. So we've just added a bit of depth to so if we have those freak injuries like we did last year, we've got quality to come in. So I think they've already gelled. I mean, they've been out to Spain in pre-season. They've played about 6 or 7 pre-season games together. So they look like they're a cohesive unit. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's been any gelling issues thus far. I mean, we don't know, but we're only one game in, aren't we?
Yeah. Tell us about the first game then. I know you won away at Burton.
Yes. Yeah. So it was crazy. I don't know if you were keeping an eye on it on
yeah.
Sky, but we had them penned in their box for about the first 4 minutes, and then all of a sudden we give the ball away, and they're quick as lightning up at the other end, and they score against the runner play, and then you're thinking 1-0 down. Crikey. We went put it into context, Andy. We went 1-0 down in 4 minutes last season on the first day of the season away at Bolton. And then we went 1-0 down in 5 minutes away at Burton this year. I'm thinking, oh, for God's sake, here we go again. But we were able to come back. We'd come back and we were 2-1 up after 20 minutes. Goals from Paudie O'Connor, who you mentioned, and Deriqua, who's come in from Cyprus. Although he's played in the Premier League, so you'll know who he is. He actually played for Burnley that day. We knocked him out of the FA Cup, if you can remember. So we were
winger.
confident.
Is he a winger? I think is he a right winger?
He's a right wing back. So we've gone 2-1 up, and then they scored a good goal to make it 2-2, and then the second half was really cagey, whereas the first half was really open and expansive. The second half was really cagey, and what I expected the first half to be. And then ultimately it just came down to a set piece, 5 minutes to go. I think it was Paudie O'Connor again, taking home a second. So it was tight, but I think any result away from home on the opening day is a good one, especially when you're playing a Burton team that are so buoyant. And it's sort of for a large spell of that game, it looked like we were at our scintillating best, like where we were at the back end of last year. So it looks like we've just, continued with how we were last year, which is a really positive sign.
Brilliant. That's all I need to know. Yeah, that's wonderful. We were very different against Mansfield. Mansfield raced into a 2-goal lead. I know you watched it after about 22 minutes, something like that. And I'd had a goal disallowed for offside, which added to it. And they thoroughly deserved to be in the lead. And then suddenly we changed our formation and brought Johnny Russell on, which was a surprise to everybody that he changed the game virtually single-handedly. And we did everything. We pulled a really lucky goal back. It took a deflection line and crawled over the line at 2-1, and then we just lost count. I think it were about 8 or 9 chances to have. Not just, you can have chances that you think, well, it's a bit of an half chance, but we're talking real chances. Players, it's just a clear shot, just hit the target and it's in, and we couldn't. So I'm not sure you needed to replace your goalkeeper. You could have, if we play like we played in the first match of the season, you could play with 11 outfield players, and I won't worry too much about it. We were poor, really poor. Played well, I thought, played well generally, apart from the finishing, and that weren't great. Last night we went through in the cup a number of changes for us, away to Wigan, number of changes for Wigan. We went through on penalties, and again, although there were changes, I thought we played pretty well. But again, it's the same thing. We could not put it in the net, and we had some really decent chances to put it to bed. And it's, I don't know. I mean, we're away at home the first match, then away. I don't know if somebody's putting too much air in the ball or whatever the hell they're doing with it, because we seem to like to either pass it back to the goalkeeper or put it straight over the crossbar, snatching at it, leaning back when we shoot. I just think panicking really, and we need to get to grips with that and get some strike. It's not that other people will disagree. I don't think it's that Max Waters for one played badly. I thought he played all right. Both games I've seen him play, he played all right, but he's not scoring, and he's not looking like scoring against Mansfield. He didn't want to shoot, and he was just missing chances. Cosgrove puts himself about, but he needs somebody else to play with. We just need somebody who, in the penalty area, can put it in the goal. And I were hoping that it might be Joe Taylor that had come. If it's because I know he's gone for, I'm assuming that there's quite a number of teams that will be after him, but I think you'll be a big draw for him to come back.
I hope so. I hope so, because you saw how he ended the season. But I think any team in this league would be happy to have a player like Joe Taylor. I think, let's say, for example, he did move to Barnsley. I mean, personally, it's not one that I can see happening. But if he did, it'd be such a good partner for Sam Cosgrove, because he's able to flick it into the gaps behind the defenders. And Joe Taylor is rapid, quick, and can finish. You saw on that game at Oakwell how good he was with the ball at his feet in the penalty area. So look, he'll be highly coveted. Huddersfield are reportedly after him. I certainly know that we're close, and we'd like to do something with Joe. Obviously, he was on the bench for Luton on Monday and didn't come on when they were 4-1 down. So that tells me that Luton are either saving him because they know he's going out, or they just don't fancy him. So fingers crossed, Joe's back pulling on the red and white, but it's in Lincoln stripes, not in all red attire for Barnsley.
Well, our old manager Michael is signing everybody for Huddersfield. I think he's he needs to be about 22 players at one go, signing everybody.
Yeah.
Good luck to him. Our near rivals, but as long as we do them, I don't care what happens to them. As long as we do all right and we do them, we don't have a great thing against Huddersfield generally. We'll add a bit of extra spice, I suppose.
More Wednesday in it. You don't like?
Can't stand them.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, there's a number of clubs I don't like. Oh, I can give a list as long as your arm. I can go through all the Football League and tell you who I don't like. But right, I'll just give you a couple. Arsenal, can't stand Arsenal. And right, just to make it clear, I weren't around at the time, but before the first one, we should have been promoted, and their chairman got them promoted to the top division after a war, and made the FA take it to a vote, and they got in instead of us. One of the teams couldn't get in, and we finished third in the Division 2. And rather than us get promoted as would normally have been, their chairman talked the Football League bods to put it to a vote, and Arsenal got it, and they've been in the top flight ever since. So they owe us.
Not that you're bitter about it. You're not bitter about it.
No, obviously not. Obviously not. I can't stand Sheffield Wednesday, partly because of the playoff final. I thought they were rubbish and we were excellent, and the Poxter late goal.
Yeah.
But it's not just about that. I just don't like Sheffield Wednesday. Just who they are. Arrogant, clever, all that. Not keen on Millwall. When we beat Millwall in the playoff final a few years back, it weren't great. The fans weren't great. Unlike some of the others, we played Ipswich there and lost, and Ipswich were brilliant. We played Oxford there. Oxford were excellent. So they're just, all this, nobody likes us, we don't care. They're not wrong. Birmingham, don't like Birmingham. When we beat Birmingham, the playoff semi-finals in 2000, we beat them 4-0 at their ground, and they responded in true Brummie fashion, chucking bricks over at wall. I crouched behind a wall with my flipping daughter and my son, who were teenagers at the time, with bricks and bottles coming over. And my daughter is on the phone to her mother saying, "You'll never guess what," she's 40, "you'll never guess what's happening, mother. They're chucking bricks over at wall. Put your dad on. Put your dad on." I'm saying, switched it off. What are you doing? What are you doing? So it was an interesting time when we finally got home. But we got home in one piece. But it was close. So there's them and all. I'll not go further. I don't mind. I don't mind Rotherham, our neighbours. I don't mind Sheffield United. Don't mind them. I used to watch them when Barnsley were away. I don't mind them. But there's a few I'm not struck on. I've mentioned them all. There's a few others, but I'll not go on about it. I'm all right now, I'm all right. I've not got off of the Arsenal one. That's true. But I'm all right.
Let the anger out, Andy.
Well, we did something different last year, that instead of selling the players like you did in to get, coming up to the final year of the contract, we kept them, hoping that we'd go up, and we didn't, obviously. And some players have gone. And there's mixed feelings among people, I think. There's very mixed feelings. Devante Cole is, I don't know how he'll get on in the Championship, but he had a great first half
agent. He's got a great agent, is what you mean.
He must have. He was absolutely excellent. He missed a load, but he got on the end of a load. And Second half of the season, I don't know if he decided, he weren't. It's not. It didn't look like he weren't trying. Some people thought he weren't trying. I don't think that. He just looked. I won't even say disinterested. Just poor. Just poor.
Yeah.
So I don't think many people are that upset about him going. Although we need the replacement. Similarly with Herbie Kane, who I liked as a player, but last season it's like crap football. If he didn't pass it back or sideways, he didn't pass it. Scored a couple of decent goals, but he looked so disinterested in the second half of the season, and he's gone to Huddersfield. So I hope he does all. I hope he does all right for them. I don't mind him, but he didn't do it for us in the second half. Nicky Cadden's gone back up to Scotland. And that's where he comes from, and he wanted to go back with this. We signed for Hibs, and I'm chuffed for him. We knew that was going to happen. I'm chuffed. He wants to be near his family, so that's right and proper. And again, he didn't have a great season. He should be a good crosser of the ball, but he wasn't for most of last season. He was the season before, but not last season. And of course, the captain Jordan Williams, he was out of contract, and I felt for Jordan because I think he's a really good right wing back, and he's gone to Portsmouth, as you'll know. And I hope he does well for them. But we weren't playing him at right wing back; we were playing him as centre half, and he was poor.
He played well at Leeds, didn't he, Andy? On the opening day, played really well.
He's a good wing back. He's just not a centre half. Physically strong enough to all that. So we could have ruined him. He was with us for about half a dozen years. I think about 6 years. I think. So I think most Barnsley fans would wish him all the best. He tried, but it was misused last season, misused completely, and I don't understand why. Really don't understand why. So we've changed it all around. We've got cover at right wing back. So not too worried about that. We've got O'Keefe still, and we've got Barry Cotter, the mercurial Barry Cotter, who confuses himself, let alone us. But
scored against us last year, though.
When he's good, he's excellent. When he's poor, you think. But at least, I think it's because they don't know what he's going to do. He gets the crowd going. So we've got cover. We've got cover there. We've signed George Gent at left wing back, a young one from Blackburn who I think they wanted to keep. Well, they're telling me he's a good, that hope that he might do something for him this season. But we've got him, so it's early to see what he's going to be like. So that's good for him. And of course, we've got Conor Horan back as player coach. Don't know how much he's going to play. Don't know. He'll play some at time, maybe half at time, but I just don't know how much he's going to play. But he brings a different feeling around the club and a good link. And of course, at the back, again with the long throw, we've got Mark Roberts. The only thing with Mark Roberts, who's come back, having been from Brum, having been released by Brum, he's come back, and the only shame is he's got a hell of a long throw, but you want him to be at the end of it and all. You want him to throw it and then leg it into the penalty.
Is he not quite quick enough to get round to the back post?
No, it's 33. He's not that quick enough. So he'd be a good sign. And of course, on his way back, having had an operation this summer, we've got Donny Pines.
Yeah.
But we're easing back in. He played. He's not played in the first league match. He had half an hour in the last friendly before that, and then he played last night for an hour. He'll be immense because he attacks. As a defender, he's big, strong, and powerful and quick. With the long throws or corners, whether it's Horan or Connell, whoever takes them, he attacks it. He's not waiting for it to come to him. He attacks the ball. So when he's fully fit and up to playing, and maybe he will be against yourselves. Who knows? I would hope so, frankly, because he's a unit and a half, and he ought to terrify any defence because he's big and strong. So that's useful. In midfield, we've signed someone that we've heard of around here Matty Craig from
some player, by the way,
who our friends at we got from our Durn FM days. We got some friends in Doncaster Rovers who did the equivalent radio show with Donny Rovers, who speak incredibly highly of him, and he looks a decent player. So that'll be interesting. So we'll see. And Kyron Lofthouse, who's come up through the ranks, who'll play the left wing back or left wing. He's a tall lad, and he's going to step up this season. I can see good things for him this season. So there's a few others that we've signed recently. We've signed another one recently. Now, sadly, I've forgotten his name off the top
The
of my head.
keeper from Chelsea.
No, we signed the keeper, Gaga. Yeah, we signed him, but we
He looks
signed
good.
another midfield player. Played well last night. Played really well. Apart from saving the penalty, made a couple of really good saves.
Yeah.
He's tall. It's nice to see. He's only young, but
He went for 10 million. Chelsea
yeah.
bought 10 million quid, didn't they, 2 years
That's
ago?
right.
So he's clearly a talented keeper and someone that they put a lot of faith in.
So let's hope he'll up it, and he seems to be all right. So things could get better, but I think it was definitely against Mansfield a slow start, and everything's fallen into place apart from up front, and we can't go with what we've got because we've only got, as it stands, realistically, Sam Cosgrove, Max Watters, as the main two strikers, if you like. We got Aidan Marsh, who's coming of age now. He's been with us, all his life. He's coming of age, but he's not there yet. He needs to get some more practice. And of course, our young superstars aren't injured. He got friendly against Derby. They didn't seem to think of it as a friendly. He's done his shoulder in, so he's out injured.
Is that Fabio Giallo?
Fabio Giallo,
yeah.
So, and he were looking good because he's the one player that we got, apart from Barry, the one player we've got that can get the ball, and drive at people, and defenders get scared of people driving straight at them. So we've needed that, and we're missing that, as well as somebody who can put it in the net from 5 yards out, let alone 20 yards out. 5 yards out would be good enough. So who knows what's going to happen by the weekend? But we'd hoped that it'd be by last weekend, but it wasn't to be. So maybe Joe Taylor will decide that he wants a fresh challenge and he wants to come back to you. He's had enough of you, you and your dad. Maybe he decides he wants to come to Barnsley and play for a proper club. Because let's be right. Last season, you had a fabulous second half of the season. You soared up that table. You were unbeatable. But right at the end, you bottled it, didn't you?
Yeah, missed a penalty on the final day that would have seen us get in the playoffs.
You'd have been in playoffs, but you didn't. You bottled it. It went from you. And I don't want it. Obviously, I want us to be in the playoffs, but I hope you do as well, because I've predicted that you will. I think I predicted you'll finish 5th and we'll finish 6th, I think. So I want you to, not being facetious, I want you to do well, because I've got a lot riding on it, because people said last year, Lincoln, you think Lincoln are going to do well? I also picked Exeter as well. Not this year. Stuff Exeter, they let me down. But yeah. And then they weren't laughing when I said, told you, because they all take it mickey out of me about Lincoln. So it shows what they know. They don't know old. So I told them.
Well, I'd like to think the result of Oakland made them stop laughing about Lincoln, Andy. I can't imagine there were too many. I can't imagine there were too many giggles that day when Joe Van McCarman put the fifth past Liam Roberts.
I don't think they saw it through the tears.
No,
that's
good.
What it is. Can't. It's hard to watch when you're dabbing your eyes, isn't it? Right. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I ask you some little scamp questions?
No, I think we've covered everything. Obviously, I should mention we got knocked out of the Carabao Cup last night by Harrogate, but that was a side with 8 changes to it, and we only sort of went off when we took the 3 players that were likely to play on Saturday came off. So, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to read into that for me personally. So, looking forward to it. Should be a big sellout. I mean, you guys should bring 2,000, if not a bit less. We'll have sold out the home end, no doubt. It should make a good atmosphere, and really looking forward to the games against Barnsley at Sincil Bank. Tend to be pretty good ones, but we tend to draw them. So I'm really excited, actually.
Alan Smith was coming. I know that I can't make it.
I don't think I'll bother then, Andy.
I won't bother. If you see Alan Smith, just...
I'll try not to. I did see it. I think I saw him last year, and I was like, "Who's that?"
Duke Atwick. Go. Just look the other way and pretend you. He'll try.
I can do that with my lazy eye, Andy. I can look the other way without looking at him at the same time. So we're all good.
He might be wearing his pink shirt. Don't start. But having said at the start of the season, before the season, there's no way on God's earth anybody will see me wearing the 3rd shirt, the pink shirt. He's bought one. Of course, he has. And he's proud wearing it. He'll be wearing. We're doing a show in a short while to preview this game, so he'll be wearing it for that. I tell you, I'll be wearing it for that.
Good.
it goes with his face, so he'll be all right. Anyway. Right, let me ask you. You know, we've got little George and Isaac Webster, who are now, how old are they now? 11, and they keep going up every year. They go an extra year up. They they pride themselves of being little Al and Andy. Well, I'll tell them, they're not. They're not. They'll never be. They think they will be. They think they're going to take over. They won't. They won't. Well, they've decided that they'd like to ask our away end guests a few questions. So they asked a few last year of you, so I'm not going to bore you with asking you the same questions. But they've got a couple of new ones. Well, 3 of them. So first one, I'll get them on in a minute, but the first question, here they go.
Who is the best player that you have ever seen play for your club?
That's a question.
I did give you prior notice of this question.
You did.
Why are you scratching your head? I don't know.
Yeah.
I did give you. I did let you know yesterday.
No, you told me you did give me him on Monday. I think the best player that I've ever seen play for Lincoln, and I don't. I think it was actually during the COVID season. So I don't know if it's a bit of a cheat, but we had Brennan Johnson on loan from Nottingham Forest, who's now at Tottenham, who went for 60 million quid in a year ago to Tottenham. So he's certainly up there, but I have seen some really good ones like Simon Yeo, David Sommer, who we had on loan from Leeds. Gareth Ainsworth, unfortunately, came just before my time, but he was one hell of a footballer. Unfortunately, Andy, most of my time supporting Lincoln, well, a lot of it, were the non-league days, and they weren't fit to lace, the pub landlady's boots. So I think Brennan Johnson closely followed by probably maybe Morgan Rogers, who's now at Aston Villa. So those two were pretty nifty. And then Carl Rushworth, I think you might remember him on loan from Brighton. He was a good keeper. Alan Marriott as well. He was a keeper that was at Mansfield, who you'll know through your family. So the answer's Brennan Johnson. I've gone a long way around it, but the answer.
I'm certainly ask you which is your best player.
The answer's Brennan Johnson, Andy. Apologies.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with supporting your club through non-league days. That shows a true supporter, Jake, unlike your dad.
Yeah.
So it's good.
He did come with me to the games, to be fair, but he was cheering on Man United, unfortunately.
Under sufferance, I've no doubt. So that's one question. I'm going to bring him on and get him to ask you another one.
What is the one game that you would like to relive again?
Easy. Absolutely easy. Sean Raggett header away at Burnley in the FA Cup 5th round to get us through to the quarterfinal and become the first non-league team in over 100 years to reach that stage of the competition. Amazing day in that away end. I fell down about 15 rows when I was celebrating, but that was one hell of a moment from a Lincoln City point of view.
How old were you when it happened?
It was 2017, so I would have been 19 years old.
Did you scuff your knees?
I actually,
the elbows.
I did a bit. I did quite a bit of damage to one of them, more than I had to go to A&E when I got back to Lincoln. That's how bad I'd done.
And the final question, which ain't from the little scamps, it's from me because I worry about you, Jake. After the last show, and I've talked about it again today, the neediness. I've just got to ask: have you got a girlfriend now, or are you still needy?
No, not yet. But we've got options on the table, Andy. Don't worry about me. I'm a 26-year-old man who lives in his own. I've got plenty of options. I've got plenty of options. If you know, I mean, you've called me very handsome before, so you can imagine I don't struggle. So
there's a big difference between me and you, though. You're as honest as the day is long, and I'm a liar. I just lie through my back teeth. Ask me brother. I lie through my back teeth. So don't take anything I say as true.
I'll ask your daughter-in-law next week after.
You can ask my daughter. Ask my daughter. She'll tell you. I quote them all the time. I say, my brother said this, my son said that. Even if they haven't, I'll say it if it'll get a laugh, I'll use it. So Jake, we'll do it again when you come. We'll do it again. I'll break the habit of a lifetime.
Are you sure? Because you don't want to get done for 5 again, do you?
I don't.
Might preempt something.
It might do, but I'll risk it for your sake because by then you might have a proper girlfriend.
Oh,
So,
potentially.
well, hopefully. So I'll keep my fingers crossed. Jake, thank you. It's been, I can only apologise for myself. I try hard, but I try, but it's what it is. It's what it is. Jake, all the best after Saturday, and take care, mate.
Thank you very much.
Finally, as Kenneth Wolstenholme said in 1966, there are some people on the pitch, they think it's red all over. It is now.